Okay. Call this meeting to order. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, and thank you all for coming tonight. Start off with item number 2, reports, and we'll start with the students' report.
Okay, so things that have happened since the last meeting. This is a pretty big list, but kind of for starting out, the boys basketball team this past month has faced a lot of adversity, which is one of those things being that they lost one of their biggest contributors, Brady Powman, to an injury. So the record right now is currently 8-8. The girls basketball is currently with an overall record of 16-3 and 8-0 against conference. Their losses were to some really good competition, and they play some very talented teams. The girls gymnastics season is going very well. They performed well at their state true team competition. The dance team received the title of conference champions in both kick and jazz for the 4th year in a row. They've also competed at the Monticello Invite and took home first place in both categories. This past weekend, they competed in the 4AA section tournament, receiving 3rd in kick and 2nd in jazz, with a really close scores to the first place team, winning them a return trip to the state tournament. So congratulations to them. The speech team has had their first tournaments at Mount Westonka, Wayzata, and Duluth Denfield. It's still really early in the season, but they've had a finalist at every tournament so far. Robotics has been working very hard all month long. They've been focusing on their goal to win a regional and the Impact Award, both to qualify the team for the World Championships in Houston. The One Act Show advanced to sections where they faced some tough competition. They went out with a really strong run and ended their 2023 One Act season on a great note. The Yearbook Committee has been working on collecting pictures and quotes for senior superlatives and completing the winter sports pages. Packers GSA had samples come in from the merchandise department and selected the type of sweatshirts to print on, while continuing to be a support group and center for LGBTQ+ students at Becker. National Honor Society has continued their work and serving the community through helping at the kindergarten roundup, volunteering at the Red Cross blood drive, collecting baby supplies and sanitary products, and more. They recently had their success in a fundraiser that was hosted during the school snow days week, and they were able to donate over $300 to a nonprofit that makes wigs for cancer patients. The Student Council just finished hosting the Becker High School Snow Days Festival, bringing it a step up from what it was. This year we created a new idea where representatives were chosen from each winter/year-round activity to participate in daily competitions and games. We had 2 pet fests throughout the past week, and Brady Powman as well as Eli Scheidemann won, so they were labeled like the Snow Days champions, and they got these really cool medals. It was really successful. We put a ton of time into it while trying to bring back school spirit after the pandemic. That was a lot of work. We're really excited it went so well. The hockey team has had to cancel a few games due to some sickness, and they've had some tough games due to a lack of players, but the team is now healthy and back on track. They currently have a record of 10-11. And wrestling had their 9th grade and understate tournament. 3 kids qualified for the event, and Boston Kushel won the 9th grade and understate tournament for the 100-pound division. Varsity has been doing consistently very well, with the team being ranked 3rd in the state right now, and 5 of the varsity team members are ranked in the top 10 for the state.
A lot. Things happening this month. Boys basketball is looking to continue to get better from the last month before sections begin. Girls basketball has a few weeks of games left before sections start and are just working on getting better every day at practice. The girls are mostly back to health after some tough injuries and are excited for the end of this year and hopefully another state run. Gymnastics has their last dual meet at home on February 7th against Big Lake. On February 10th, they'll be traveling to Cambridge Isani for the JV conference meet. The varsity girls will have a whole week of practice before competing at sections in St. Francis on February 17th. Dance team is competing at the state competition. Jazz will be competing on February 17th, and kick is on the February 18th at Target Center. The robotics team is continuing to prepare for the upcoming competition season, which begins in March. A lot of the high school drama participants from the cast of One Act and Beauty and the Beast are currently helping with tech crew for the middle school play musical Newsies. Yearbook is continuing to work toward their next deadline, which is at the end of February. Boys hockey has their first playoff game on February 18th. Wrestling has their last home regular season meet on Thursday against Foley and Macquarie. Team sections are February 16th and 17th. They should be able to qualify for team state there. Individual sections are February 24th and 25th here at home, and could send multiple wrestlers to the state tournament. The state wrestling tournament runs from March 2nd to the 4th.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, any questions?
Can I repeat the part of the stuff where you said all about the things?
Yeah, might take a while.
Good stuff.
Sure, thank you.
So, thank you, ladies. A lot going on, of course, as those seasons are coming to an end for the sports. Time to ramp up for sections and fun stuff like that, so, thank you. Brings us to item 2B, Superintendent's Report. Jeremy?
MSBA workshops are taking place at the end of February. They're in person in St. Cloud or virtually. Each board member, I forwarded the email to you. If you'd like to sign up for any of the trainings that are available, you can contact Angel and she'll help you out with that. Referendum update, the Project Oversight Committee met, and I think that's one of the committee reports as well, on Wednesday evening to discuss the status of the projects. I attached the most recent updates for the middle school and the transportation site, and you can see updates on Facebook pages each week on Monday. If you follow us on there. The MASE Spring Conference is on March 9th and 10th, and I plan on attending that conference. It's in, I think it's in the Brooklyn Center, Brooklyn Park, one of those two. So I'll go there for both those days. Legislative update, there's lots of stuff happening at the Capitol. March 15th is the MASA Region 6 Day at the Capitol. I've been in contact with Representative Mecklin and Senator Matthews and their staff. They've both been very helpful, and they call me if they have questions as well on any bills that are being presented or at least talked about at the Capitol at this time. I'm very supportive of Becker School District. I'd like everyone to continue to look at the governor's plan and the ones that are coming out of the House and the Senate. And this surplus is very big, obviously, and that's been a lot of news lately. And with that amount of money provided by the state, hopefully we'll be able to get more into the educational field and get some money back, especially cross subsidies, a pretty popular one right now. I think that they're going to be passing some of these other ones in March, it sounds like, and they'll be implemented right away. One of them would be maybe the food programming for free food for students. And so there's a lot of different things that are going to be taking place. I'll probably be at the Capitol more this year than any year I've ever been at the past. We've got some other things going on as well with some of our inflationary costs due to the referendum and just making some contact with people at the Capitol. So the governors, some of the governors' highlights are listed there. They're all over the place. There's a long list of those. I'm sure if you watch the news each night, they probably talk about one or two of these each night. So graduation and prom. So graduation committee has been meeting regularly, and they'll continue to meet. The graduation is they've had a lot of different options that they talked about, and they're looking at having graduation on the soccer field if the weather is permitting. They would they narrowed down from other schools. The amphitheater in Waite Park was an option that they talked about. I'm trying to think of where else. I think they had another outside location that they were looking at, but they essentially wanted to do it outside on our campus, and so the soccer field would be eligible for that, and we're looking at getting lots of chairs, so we're going to have a lot of chairs out there and having it there. So that's one thing that's in place. Parking and things like that are some of the logistics that they're working on right now, is trying to figure out where to put people, where to put the students. There's a pretty big graduating class this year, and so there will be a lot of attendees. So we're looking at about just over 2,000 people attending, 2,500 maybe. So it's going to be a big crowd if we get about the same number as we had last year per student. Prom update. So prom is also off-site this year. It's going to take place in the cities, and part of the fees will be including meals and the transportation to get there. So we require transportation to be as a group to go out there, so we don't want anyone driving there themselves. They'd have to pay for parking. They'd have to find a spot to park and different things like that. So we're looking at busing them, and that's what we've always done when we've gone off-site, is taking a coach bus with kids on it. So.
Where's that? You know yet?
You guys know?
I think somewhere in Minneapolis.
I believe it's the View.
The View? I only saw pictures from my daughter.
We're going to be taking buses then for that?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we know like how many for, I guess, how many people sign up then?
Yeah, I think it depends on that.
Okay, we're taking coach buses for that?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
They did that
I think they did it when they
A
went.
couple of years ago.
2000 when they took the boat, they all took buses down to the boat.
Right. The only concern I heard from like students was, oh, well, what if I want to go eat somewhere else? But I don't think people fully understand that
But they can
food is
eat,
being provided there, right?
well, they, a lot of them go and take pictures beforehand, and I
Right.
think some have a meal even before they go.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Mhm.
We'll make sure it's a nice bus.
Right.
And then, February is School Board Appreciation Month, so thank you all for stepping up and
Good job.
being on the school board. You've done a great job for the last month, some of you. No, but we submitted an article, I don't know if it was in the Patriot this week, but it should be in the next couple of weeks. If it wasn't in this week, I didn't see it in there, but that should be on there, the marquee board. We've got some stuff on social media that's gone out, and so thank you for being in a tough spot. It's not been an easy role for school board members, and it probably isn't gonna get any easier, so but you're doing it for the right reasons and for the kids, so thank you for that.
All right. Any other questions for Jeremy? All right, thank you, Jeremy. Moving on to committee reports. I have ECFE, Pete.
Yeah, so, had the pleasure of meeting with them, I think it's last Monday, 2 weeks ago, today, the 23rd. Great opportunity to meet some of the parents that were on the committee, Sue, of course, and then Mr. Christensen was there. Covered all types of things, what the current school year, the updates that they're going through, the events they have, the mom and dads and gym stuff. I've had the opportunity to do a lot of that stuff with all my kids, and it's a lot of fun, the stuff that they put on. There's a lot of engaging things, and great to hear a story. We talked about some of the fees and the challenges that they're going through as far as putting new fees together. The challenge there is that, that's not funded by, the state, so it's, parents have to pay for it, and they're constantly looking for ways to fundraise and stuff and try and make those fees as affordable, but at the same time, make sure that they have enough coming in to run the program. So always going on there. The upcoming events coming up, they have a kitchen with mom and dad, which is fun. Gym night on the February 23rd, another gym night on March 27th, and then dad's STEM night on April 10th. We had the opportunity to look at some of the new pictures of the new facility, which is super exciting. We talked about, got to look at some images, and we closed with the playground. And to me, I think this is would be the cherry on top, right? I mean, if you're talking about early childhood, you want to have a top-notch playground. But a couple of things, they're running into some, I was blown away how much it costs to put a playground in. I'm thinking chairs and, some chairs and some swings, and we can knock that out of the park for, well, apparently, cookie cutter right now is $100,000 from the quotes that they showed me. So, I think it's important that we do have a top-notch playground. So we talked about possible fundraising opportunities. What can we do? How can the school help? What can we do to get the community involved? And maybe talk with the city and see what they did with Carly Johnson Park, when they completely redid that. We talked about the flooring of it and the dreaded wood chip debacle. Even wood chips for $10,000. But there was only one bid, so my suggestion at that point was let's be able to go out and see who else is out there. So overall, looking forward to our next meeting, which is going to take place on March 20th.
All right, any questions for Pete? Thanks, Pete. Curriculum, Troy?
Yes, we just met right before this meeting, covered a lot. I'll hit some of the highlights. Mostly talked about the math curriculum and science. Math we'll talk about that first. It was purchased in 2014, updated in 17, alignment in 2019. There's some concerns about it, and so it's up for next review in 26, 27, and they're going to pull that forward to 2025 for various reasons that I could not get into if I had to. but they're going with that. On the science, they're in the review of that. They had 4 vendors selected. They narrowed that down to 2, STEM Scopes and Savos, I guess, S-A-V-V-A. And those 2 vendors are going to be at the high school science fair on February 16th. So parents can come and, talk to the vendors, the curriculum. Both vendors are putting together a video that parents can see. So that was good. We also reviewed some of the standards, the ELA standards and the mathematics standards that are being reviewed and being looked at. So the mathematics standards are in rulemaking and open for public comment, so they're getting pretty solid. They expect vendors to start putting stuff together since it's getting far enough along. ELA standards are on the final stages. As far as the math goes, one of the notes I took from the meeting is, there's a lot going on with standards, but kind of the general theme is we're moving more towards critical thinking. So when it's all being discussed, I'm thinking story problems. It isn't just, can you do long division? It's, why would you do long division, and how would you apply it? So all that's going on. Another interesting thing that was talked about was the modern classroom project, and how I think it's more the middle school and high school right now are looking at how they can bring that in and implement it. It's not going to be, a big bang, but several of the teachers are looking at going to get some training and seeing how they can bring it in their classroom. And it seemed quite a bit of excitement around it. It sounded like a cool project that our students could really benefit from, because it helps both, students who really get the subject and want to go out and run with it. They can do that, as well as students that are struggling to pick up the subject or whatever, get more individual attention, and it helps the teacher identify who those are and how they can help them, as well as, giving those students that really get it more work, and they can go out and excel at it. So,
really felt like it differentiate the instruction, yeah.
Yep.
Give a lot of opportunities for kids.
Yeah, it really sounded pretty cool. So, those are the bulk of the notes I took. Corey was also there. Did you have anything, Corey?
We talked a little bit about the achievement integration plan and kind of the setup for that and where the goals are for would be the 24 and the next through the 26 school years, and what we're looking at for goals for our students, integration of some of the staff, things that the staff will be doing, and so on. So yeah, it was good.
Yep.
I think they're on a good plan.
I think our next meeting is May. Is that right? Yeah, May.
All right, any questions for Troy or Corey? All right, thank you. Track report?
Yep. Sure. So track, which I learned was Together Reaching Area Kids. We met on January 10th. Some students were there as well, which is really good to kind of hear some student updates on how they feel that is going, just trying to make sure that we are making good connections with all students in our buildings. Some of the things that we talked about, some of the past events that have taken place. They did a World Kindness Week, which was November 7th through the 13th, and actually Mayor Bertram set that off and made it as a doctrine throughout our city, which was cool. At that time, you probably would have noticed outside of City Hall, that's also what the police department, Becker Police Department, was making their donut drive-through and gave opportunities to students and just community members to come grab a donut to see the police in a different opportunity and a different viewpoint. And according to Chief Balloon, that was very well received and something that they would like to continue doing in the future. They also talked about maybe doing one in the spring as well with kind of a coffee chat opportunity, kind of a low-key opportunity. You just sit and socialize and talk with the Becker Police Department. So that was really well. Some things that came out with the students, just kind of a students' needs survey that was put out, just kind of continually working on some safe spaces within our buildings. Increasing our mental health support. I know that we have some funding that goes through, but just trying to find a mental health, like counselors and therapists and things of that nature, are very difficult in today's job hiring. So that is something that they're looking at, trying to continue to push for. They talked about we usually have one in our building, and now we don't have any in our building, just in that regard of licensed therapists, and just kind of looking to get that back. And then just even having tutors and just kind of increasing those students that are willing to help out others and be a good student tutor. So it was a good positive, something that it is open to our community. And being there for the first time, looking around, it was like it'd be nice to see different avenues there. Actually, I was talking with my wife from the city standpoint, getting more community members there as well would be kind of cool, just to kind of see what they are doing as well as students. So the next meeting is March 24th. 1st if you are interested, so.
All right. Any questions for Corey?
How many people are there?
5, 6,
Okay.
8. Well, there's 4 students, right? 3 or 4 students? So if you take the students away, there was, maybe 4 adults, and then 4 students, so 8 people probably.
So we get to,
Branch out a little bit.
yeah.
Thank you, Corey.
Yeah.
Ryan, you have a facilities update?
Yes, so we met last Wednesday, kind of went over a broad view of all the projects that are going on right now. So the transportation building, you can see in these pictures, is really getting underway. They're starting mechanical roughings this week. It's dried in. Things will really start to change rapidly there now. At the middle school, the footings are dug, and that's gonna start moving forward. Most of the construction at the other buildings and football field is probably not gonna start till later in the spring. They are, I believe, planning on getting the lights set on the football field as soon as possible. So they're gonna remove the snow and then start working on that. Then we kind of covered the process and chain of command, where if office board members have questions, it'd be best to reach out to Jeremy, and then Jeremy can talk to ICS, the consulting firm, and the architect, and just kind of how that flow works. We don't inundate them, and other than that, it was very informative, lots of pictures, lots of slides, so.
I would just, one thing with the lights on the, on Efford Field, those are part of our long-term facility maintenance plan, so that's not coming out of the referendum money. Those are coming out, that was already on the 10-year plan, that you'll get another one here in June or July to approve, but that came out of our long-term facilities, so that isn't necessarily, that was already in our plan, so it isn't part of the referendum, I guess. I just want to make sure that's clear. The baseball, softball lights that were put up were part of the referendum, so.
For the football field, is that area being enlarged? Is that gonna be part of that whole parking lot, or is it everything staying exactly the same size?
The footprint is gonna stay the same size. So we won't lose the parking, which is key.
Gotcha.
About schedule, are we pretty much on schedule, or are we falling behind in any areas? You know?
I think we're pretty good because we weren't necessarily planning on starting most of the projects until we get here in the spring, a little bit closer, and so I think we're pretty good on that. The transportation is a little bit delayed because we had some trouble with the fire suppression and the water and the wells and things like that, so it's a little bit delayed, but that doesn't really impact a whole lot. It'll impact early education, but theirs was gonna end in November, December, maybe January. So if that gets pushed back to February or March, it doesn't necessarily change a whole lot. It'd be nice to get done before December and move in during the holiday break there, but if we can, we can. So. But otherwise, I think we're mostly on. And the only reason we're off on the transportation is because the pump, I believe, that they ordered for this fire suppression to give us enough gallons per minute for that process is on back order. So, supply chain.
But it's not affecting the overall time, really.
No.
There are small projects going on in different buildings, windows being cut in and things like that, but for the major ones, they're all entrances and things that we can't do until kids are gone anyhow, so those are always gonna be, so. But you'll see the middle school addition, that's starting, they got the whole dug ready for footings and moving on that, so you'll see that going on. Parking was moved because they need the trailers in the work parking space, that's why that parking lot's been closed, but.
Yeah, my daughter has a complaint about that.
It's been tough to find a spot in the morning.
So,
Yeah.
that was a brief discussion we had about using the front parking lot with the teachers and everything, and my suggestion at home was put the seniors up front, because I want an experienced driver around staff cars. And my son said, then we gotta walk the furthest, Dad.
Well,
How can you argue with that?
for that, a lot of students have been saying there's been a miscommunication. The doors actually right by district office.
Door 1.
Door 1. Those are actually available to get in through for students. That's a new addition that happened, I believe, this past summer or recently. students have not been made aware of that recently, so they all still think they have to walk around the PC to come in through swim doors.
I've had a list of complaints, like, because the kids don't know, and also I've heard students say, well, we're told that we're not supposed to use those doors, like, the people in the office say you're not supposed to use those doors. So there
Yeah.
must have been a
Did it get-
miscommunication
Well,
somewhere.
because they were coming in through my door,
Yeah,
Right.
they
and
need
to
to
get
come in through the
into
other
the school
door.
from my door, you have to go through the offices. And so
Yeah.
you get 20 kids walking through community ed or the district office or whatever.
Yeah, so
Did that get cleared up or not? Not yet?
It hasn't been, no,
Okay.
no, that's something that needs to be taken care of,
So I
yeah.
think that was the most complaint, because obviously it's winter and now with the snow, everyone's like, okay, well, we have to park furthest away because the PAC parking lot gets full, they come back from appointments, or if they have online school in the morning and come to school in the afternoon, then they're like, okay, we have to walk, like, all the way around in the winter, and like, there's no door for us to get in, so
Yeah.
that's just kind of been a miscommunication before.
So, do you ladies know, is there anybody parking back here behind the school where they build sheds in the spring? I mean, no special ed bus uses that for pickup or whatever, but I know in the past, when we were redoing our parking lot, we had also talked to the church across the way and used that for parking, but,
I don't,
There's enough spots.
yeah, it's,
It's just making sure you get to the right where you think you can get in and having to walk.
It's also been an issue of students actually being late, from what I know. Like a lot of my peers, especially with a lot of the seniors being a part of PSEO, the post-secondary school education stuff, where they can leave to the, St. Cloud and then come back during the school day. They'll come in and then they'll be like already kind of in a time crunch to find their class, and they'll be searching for spots, and then they'll be late into their next class because they can't find a spot in the right lot. So if it could just be communicated out there, or if something were done with like an arrangement of the parking for, I don't know, maybe like the upperclassmen were more so the PSEO, as long as something is done about it.
and regarding that parking lot, where the sheds are built, students are not permitted to park back there.
I know they're not.
Yeah.
But that's why I was wondering if we need an overflow.
No, there are enough spots.
There's enough spots, it's just a miscommunication between allowing them to get in through the doors, so I think that's been the majority of complaints.
And it was cold, so they were parking in the
Right.
PSC lot, walking all the way to the Bulldog entrance, or
Yeah.
to the door 11,
Yeah.
which is by the high school entrance. And so
Yeah,
Yeah.
my whole Spanish class was
They walked
fired
right by
up.
the door, they could've
They
walked
were,
in.
they were fired up.
Gotta run.
They
Get
still are.
that early morning
Yeah.
cardio in.
Yeah, we'll just have to communicate that out. They probably walked right by the door, they could've walked in.
Yeah.
Well, and just to realize it's temporary, I mean, it's a one-year deal.
Just as long as they know they have a place to go in. I think that's cool. They
Right.
don't accidentally walk all the way around.
One thing Alex told me too is like, Dad, they're not even using that parking lot yet. They got it, roped off, but nobody's using
Well,
it.
they dropped a semi-load in there today, so.
But that's just it, though, with the shipping and everything, it's like you need to have it open for when it's
Yep.
all school announcement, hey, everybody who's parked, you need to go move.
It's hard to sell that lot.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, they're not using it. No.
All right, so, and then I have the last update, I believe, co-op met last Tuesday, right? Last Tuesday. Becker, Marcelo, and Dave Lake, and we actually met here, district office. The big thing the three districts are looking at is finding a building where we can house level 4 from each of the districts into, because right now there's so few of them in the state. Some of our students are lucky to get to a spot, but most of our schools are just absorbing those into their school day some way, and it's not best for the students' needs, it's not best for the staff needs, and so we're looking at how the three districts work together and find a place that, because there's many different instructors and people needed to run a level 4. So instead of just Becker hiring theirs, that's the whole idea of the co-op. So trying to look for a place that would work for all three districts to be able to use for level 4, with the hopes that if we could actually secure our own place, that we would then be able to welcome in those students from other districts that would then bring in money into the co-op, instead of right now those that leave, that's money out of the co-op. So that's kind of the big frame picture of what we're looking at. Pretty much what ran most of the discussion that night.
Yeah, and we'll have John Wheatley, who's the director of the Urban Northern Rights Special Ed Co-op, coming in and doing presentations to our board, so we can get you guys up to speed and didn't go to the meeting.
I think he was at Big Lake Monday last Thursday, he was at Big
Thursday,
Lake
yeah,
meeting,
I think
so he'll come to and give us an update of what the needs are and what we're looking for and things like that. So, all right. Are there any other committee reports we missed? Okay, thank you all. Moves us on to item number 3, the consent agenda. Need a motion?
Motion to accept.
I'll second.
We have a motion to accept the consent agenda as written. Do we have any discussions on that? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 4, gifts.
You need a motion before we discuss?
Yep.
I'll motion to accept.
Second that.
Do you have any discussions on the gifts?
I'd just say I'm pretty amazed. I mean, there's
Every
every month, but this month I opened it up and there's some pretty major contributions, so I guess just thanks everyone that contributed. Robotics seems to have really taken on a big haul this month.
Yeah, we have some people in the audience actually, like Noah directly contributed. He's our business lead, so, but, thank you, yeah, everybody for that especially. The robotics team can't function without having money we get in. It's a very, very expensive activity, so this is amazing, and it allows us to bring all of our students to different regionals, and if we make it to the World Championships, then students can actually go, because otherwise it's extraordinarily expensive. So, yeah.
So robotics is, it's its own little entity. Although it's a
self-funded.
school, although it's a school event, I think we just pay for the coaches pretty much, right? And everything else, if you think about it, now you've heard, they go to Duluth, they travel all over, and now if they qualify for Houston, that's a whole nother, they're traveling around the whole Midwest for competitions and things, so they need to get the money from somewhere, and it's amazing how they consistently go out and find the money that funds the program.
How do you guys, someone drive the trailer down to Houston?
You, yep.
Who gets that job?
One of our coaches, he has held
Yeah.
dibs on it for every single year that he has been on the team.
Yeah.
Just find their own truck driver.
And so, and no one puts him
But
on.
then the rest of us go on one bus, like all of us would go on a coach bus, and it's really fun.
Yeah.
So we love it.
We're thankful for the opportunity.
So now it's a little bit off topic, but is it always gonna be at Houston? Because I had moved around a couple of times, so.
It will be for the next few years
Okay.
until we get to a spot where they can split it, because the last couple of years, it has been so large that they needed 2 world championships, one in Houston, one in Detroit. So our team's always gone to Detroit because it's been closer, and that's just where they put our team. After COVID and the pandemic, the teams kind of grew smaller. Some teams weren't able to stay active for that, so now they've just made it to a size where they can keep it all at one area, but hopefully in the next few years it'll grow back to the point where it can be split into 2 different world championships at the same time, so.
Awesome.
Do you know, is there any discussion of making it a school activity? Because I think it was boys lacrosse used to be just the same way, where it was independently funded, but officially a school sport, but didn't receive funding.
We've had that discussion, but they don't want it. That takes away a whole chunk out of their, Noah would have no job then for business, and that's one of the whole entities of it is going out to secure the funds. If the funds are all put forth by the school now, that removes a whole chunk of the robotics program. So.
I suppose there's a whole lot of other rules they don't have to worry about following too.
Right, but it's also, you see the money that's going out to robotics.
Yep.
How could the school
No,
spend that year after year after year? It's
We kind of try and function as similar to a business as much as it could be to kind of prepare our students to go into the real world. So again, it allows students like Noah to be able to run a business department. And
who's in charge of fundraising? How do you guys go about securing those gifts, or do they volunteer, or?
We have a Becker Robotics Booster Club as well, and they'll help us find sponsors. But a lot of our sponsors are attained from, how many letters do you guys send out? About 100 letters that they they send out to people asking for sponsorships each year, and then we keep all of our sponsors updated to try and maintain a healthy relationship with them to ensure that it's not just like a transactional thing. Like, we value them, and similar to like a company would.
Between you guys and the Baskin, you're doing something right.
Thank you.
You're doing it right.
And-
I applaud you guys.
It's amazing, but again, you go back to the gifts, it's like, it's amazing that those funds keep coming through, and it's how supportive our community is of what our students are doing. It's awesome. I mean, and robotics, of course, stole that spotlight because they're on there 7 times, but they've supported dance team, there's always money coming in for every activity, and it's amazing that you go out and ask, and how much money just keeps, I'd like to ask Kevin what our donation or gifts are on a yearly basis, because it's astronomical what this community does for the kids, which is awesome. So, all right. Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion to accept the gifts as listed. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Brings us to item number 5, policy reviews, and you have there listed in front of you, what is this, 11 policies. You want to speak to that a little bit, Jeremy?
Yeah, so these policies, part of our policy 208, like I said last month, is to review all policies once every 3 years, which is listed in the description. So we're just going right in order, essentially, and these are the policies that are next in line. There are no changes in these, except for a couple legal references that are updated, and some of them have not been reviewed in 10, 12, 13, 14 years, and so we want to make sure that we're continuing to stay up on these as they're available to us, and allow for public comment on these as well. And so, again, no changes in these, so we can approve them in one vote. And if you have questions on these, you can certainly bring them to me, and we can bring them back to the board at any time. Some of these policies I don't know how or when they were created, but from 217 to 224 are not MSBA policies. Those were self-created policies. I don't know where they came from or not, but they were created by the board at one point, probably around 2010 is what it looks like. But all those are about policy governance and some of that stuff. And so I don't know if Steve, I think that's part of Steve's thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, I think I was here on some of them. I don't know if I was here on all of them. So, do we need a motion to accept those?
Yeah.
Let's just review. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Who's second?
Pete and Troy. All those in favor of accepting the policy reviews as listed below, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, the discussion of policy 722. I think this is the policy committee.
Yeah, so, wanted to have it on the consent agenda just because we'll probably be asking for a motion to amend, just because we're running a little bit behind schedule when we made the initial motion for this 30 to 60 days on it. One of the unique things about this is there's a lot of hands in the cookie jar when we're talking about this. So it was hard for us to have a meeting if certain people weren't going to be able to attend. And we just, again, I think it just ran into some bad luck. So wanted to just explain why I wanted to put this on. Wanted to, again, open the discussion to seeing if we do need to amend the motion. And again, I think we're very dedicated now to making sure that we get this next meeting on the book very soon. And in my opinion, I think it's going to be next week, so we keep the process going. So yeah, that's why I wanted that on the agenda.
So basically, if I remember, was it December, we said there was a motion to postpone for 60 days, and that's why you're bringing it up, because we were planning on having a first read in this meeting, is that correct?
Yes, so the first read was supposed to be today, but we just were about, I don't know, Jeremy, what about 60-70% through? I mean, we're through the definitions of things, we got a couple things, other things to cover.
Yeah.
So one more meeting should be sufficient enough to bring a first reading to the table, and then I would think also so they have a red line version of that, what it was to what it was changed for the public and their board members to review it at that point, so.
So how many people are working on that right now?
So we've got myself, Connie, Ryan's on the policy committee, but I don't think he's really had too much to do. He kind of inherited this one per se. And I actually kind of inherited this as well, when I brought on. And then there's Summer, and then of course Jeremy's involved. Summer's a big part of it because she can answer a lot of the questions. We might actually pull on the data, which is why we couldn't get the meeting in last week, because it was last week or 2 weeks ago that she was out, Jeremy?
Yeah.
In the prior meeting, Connie was busy too, so it didn't have to work out. So I think if we can amend that, again, to include anywhere from 30 to 60 days, get the first reading on the book, allow for any pending legal review if needed, we should be able to get this wrapped up in the coming months, finally.
So are you looking for an extension, or?
Well, that's a good, yeah, so I guess I think I'm looking for the right way to, as far as governments goes and parliamentary procedures, what we need to do by the books. Do we need to amend the amendment or amend the motion? Do we need to attach an extension on to the last motion?
No, I think we just take a motion to extend it. But, so you're thinking you'll have it for the March meeting?
Yes.
So then just extend it for the March meeting.
Okay.
So I can do that motion.
We need a motion, yeah.
I motion that we extend the timeline for, sorry, did you have something?
I was gonna ask if, do we wanna go longer than March? Do you think, I'm available next week.
I think the original one was 30 to 60 days. I guess my extension would be 30 to 60 days onto this one as well.
Okay.
With that being said, still planning to have the first reading available to us by next board meeting. With the red line version, so everybody can see what we had to what it was changed to.
So you wanna make a motion on that?
Yeah, so I'll make a motion that we extend, the first reading for 7/22 for 30 to 60 days.
And I will second that.
Any further questions or discussions for policy 722? Okay, we have a motion to extend that 30 to 60 days. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. That brings us to adjournment. This meeting is adjourned.